Am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out of my wedding party after she tried to HK up with my fiance? I'm 29, my name's Alyssa. And I'm currently planning what was supposed to be my dream wedding to my fiance, Ethan 31. But, thanks to one of my bridesmaids, the dream is looking more like a nightmare right now. I need to know if I overreacted or if I'm justified in feeling betrayed, because honestly, I don't trust my judgment anymore. Let me start with the basics. I've known my friend Vanessa. Yes, I'm using her real name because she's earned it since college. We met at Northwestern, where we were roommates freshman year. She was outgoing, funny, and the kind of person who could make you feel like you were the center of the universe when she talked to you. Over the years, we stayed close, even after she moved to Seattle for work and I stayed in Chicago. When Ethan proposed last year, Vanessa was one of the first people I called. She screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear, and she immediately started talking about planning the bachelorette party and helping with wedding details. I was touched and excited to have her in the bridal party. She's always been the life of the party, and I thought she'd bring so much energy and fun to the whole process. I couldn't have been more wrong. The first red flag came during the engagement party. Vanessa flew in for the weekend, and she was extra, to put it lightly. She monopolized Ethan's time, asking him endless questions about how he proposed, their connection, and even cracking jokes about how she'd missed her shot with him. I laughed it off at the time, chalking it up to her over-the-top personality. Later that night, Ethan mentioned that Vanessa was a bit intense. She's fun, but she's a lot, he said. Does she always flirt like that? She's just being playful, I said, brushing it off. That's just Vanessa. But the comment stuck in the back of my mind. Was she being playful, or was there something more to it? Fast forward a few months. We were deep into wedding planning, and Vanessa started making things difficult. She complained about the bridesmaid dress I picked, saying it didn't flatter her figure. She made snide remarks about the color scheme, claiming it was too basic for someone as creative as me. And she kept inserting herself into conversations about Ethan, asking things like, "Do you think he's nervous about the wedding? Guys get cold feet, you know." I started feeling uneasy, but I didn't want to be the bride who sees drama where there isn't any. I told myself I was being paranoid and that Vanessa was just a little more outspoken than the rest of my friends. The breaking point came last weekend during my bachelorette party. Vanessa offered to host it at her Airbnb, and at first, it was amazing. She'd gone all out with decorations, games, and cocktails. But as the night went on, things started to get weird. Vanessa kept making comments about Ethan, how lucky I was to have him, how rare it is to find a guy who's so attentive, and how if things don't work out, she'd be first in line to date him. She laughed every time she said it, but there was an edge to her tone that made my stomach churn. Then came the bombshell. Around midnight, after everyone was sufficiently tipsy, Vanessa pulled me aside and said, "Alyssa, I have to tell you something, but please don't freak out." "What?" I asked, already feeling the tension build. She hesitated, then said, "I've always kind of had a crush on Ethan. I mean, who wouldn't, right? He's gorgeous, funny, successful. You're so lucky." I stared at her, speechless. "Vanessa, what the HLL are you talking about?" "Don't be mad," she said quickly. "I'd never act on it. I just think he's amazing. That's not a crime, right?" I didn't even know how to respond. I ended the conversation as quickly as possible and tried to enjoy the rest of the night, but her words kept replaying in my head. Was she joking? Testing the waters? I didn't know what to think. The next day, I confided in Ethan. He looked stunned but reassured me that he'd never given Vanessa any reason to think he was interested in her. "She's your friend," he said. "I wouldn't cross that line even if I wanted to, which I don't." I believed him. But then, 2 days later, everything exploded. Ethan called me while I was at work, his voice tense. "We need to talk," he said. "It's about Vanessa." Apparently, she'd shown up at his office unannounced. She claimed she was in the area and wanted to grab lunch with him. At first, he thought it was innocent, but then she started making comments about how he and I seemed too perfect and how she could tell he was holding back around her. She said I could tell her if I had doubts about the wedding, Ethan told me. It was so out of line, Alyssa. I didn't even know what to say. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What did you do?" I asked. "I told her to leave," he said. "I told her it was inappropriate and that I didn't want to be part of whatever game she's playing." That was it. I called Vanessa and confronted her. "What the HLL is wrong with you?" I demanded. "Why are you showing up at Ethan's office and talking about our relationship?" She tried to play DMB. "I was just being friendly," she said. "You're overreacting." "Friendly?" I snapped. "You told him he could talk to you if he had doubts about marrying me. How is that friendly?" She sighed dramatically. "Alyssa, you're so insecure. I can't believe you're making this into a thing. I was just looking out for you." "Looking out for me?" I laughed bitterly. "By trying to hook up with my fiance?" She exploded at that. "I wasn't trying to hook up with him." "God, you're so paranoid." Maybe you should ask yourself why you're so threatened by me. That was the last straw. I told her she was out of the wedding party and that I didn't want her at the wedding at all. She screamed at me, calling me a control freak and saying I was ruining our friendship over nothing. Since then, she's been bad-mouthing me to our mutual friends, saying I'm jealous, insecure, and overreacting. Some of them think I'm justified, but others think I should have just let it go since nothing technically happened. Now I'm second-guessing myself. Was I too harsh? Should I have handled this differently? Or was kicking her out the right thing to do?